There was a big object the size of Manhattan that was spotted on July 1st this year. It's moving in the plane of the planets, as if it wanted to have a reconnaissance mission towards the planet. It just passed the sun. It had some non-gravitational acceleration, meaning that there was some force acting on it in addition to gravity. And it looks really weird. There are several anomalies that I spotted, 12 of them, that make it unusual, unlike the comets that we're familiar with.
Just a few hours ago, Avi Loeb published something that should be making headlines everywhere, but it's not. He went on Fox News, laid out 12 statistical anomalies about 3I Atlas, each with probabilities so low they border on impossible, and ended with a question that should terrify and excite you in equal measure. If we land on this object and find buttons, should we press them? I'm not going to waste your time with filler. NASA has been silent for 42 days. In a few hours from now, they're finally breaking that silence with 4 senior officials presenting data from the Mars flyby. If you're watching this video after the update, I'll add that video in here so you can just click on this and watch what happened there. But anyway, here's what they're not telling you. Loeb's 12 anomalies create a statistical profile that, if this were a court case, would constitute reasonable doubt that this is just a comet. Let me show you why the silence matters more than the data. Before we get into the 12 anomalies, you need to understand why expert opinion might be worthless here. On January 2nd, 2025, just 10 months ago, the Minor Planet Center, the official body sanctioned by the International Astronomical Union to catalog every object in our solar system, issued a bulletin. They had discovered a new near-Earth asteroid. 24 hours later, someone did the math on the trajectory. It wasn't an asteroid. It was Elon Musk's Tesla Roadster, the one SpaceX launched in 2018 as a dummy payload on the Falcon Heavy rocket. The experts had cataloged a car as a space rock. Now, Loeb's point is surgical. If the world's leading experts can't distinguish a Tesla from an asteroid, how would they recognize something actually engineered by a non-human intelligence? Their entire training dataset is rocks and ice. They've never been trained to identify artificial objects from interstellar space because we've never had one. Think about that. The people telling you 3I Atlas is definitely a natural comet are the same people who literally couldn't tell a car from a rock. And they're not asking, what if we're wrong? They're telling you to stop asking questions. Here's what NASA isn't addressing. Loeb didn't just list these anomalies. He calculated the statistical probability of each one occurring naturally. Let me walk you through the ones that should be keeping people awake at night. Anomaly 1, the trajectory. 3I Atlas is on a retrograde orbit, meaning it's moving opposite the direction planets orbit the sun. That's not the weird part. The weird part is that it's aligned with the ecliptic plane to within 5 degrees. Probability of this happening by random chance? 0.2%. 1 in 500. If you flipped a coin 9 times and got heads every single time, that would be more likely than this trajectory happening naturally. Anomaly 5, the nickel problem. This is where it gets industrial. Spectroscopic analysis of 3I Atlas's gas plume shows a nickel-to-iron ratio that matches industrially produced nickel alloys. Not natural metal deposits, industrial production. The nickel-to-cyanide ratio is orders of magnitude higher than any known comet, including 2I Borisov, the other confirmed interstellar comet we've observed. Probability this occurs naturally? Less than 1%. And here's why this matters. Nickel-chromium alloys are used in aerospace engineering specifically because they withstand extreme temperatures. We use them in rocket engines and spacecraft heat shields. And we're seeing that exact signature in the gas around 3I Atlas. Anomaly 8, the WOW signal direction. In 1977, the Big Ear radio telescope at Ohio State picked up a 72-second radio signal so unusual that the astronomer monitoring the data wrote "wow" in the margin. It came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. We've never detected it again. It remains the strongest candidate for an extraterrestrial signal in human history. 3I Atlas is coming from that same region of the sky, within 9 degrees of the WOW signal's origin point. Probability? 0.6%. Now, correlation isn't causation, but when you're stacking probabilities, 0.2% times 1% times 0.6%, you start getting into numbers so small they demand investigation, not dismissal. Anomaly 11, the mass loss paradox. NASA's own Jet Propulsion Laboratory detected non-gravitational acceleration as 3I Atlas approached the sun. That's normal for comets. As ice sublimes into gas, it creates tiny thrust that nudges the trajectory. But here's the problem. The acceleration they measured would require at least 13% of 3I Atlas's total mass to have evaporated near perihelion. Images taken on November 11th, 2 weeks after perihelion, show a single intact body. No fragmentation, no breakup. It didn't lose 13% of its mass because if it had, we would see debris, we would see fragments, we would see a comet that tore itself apart. So either the physics is wrong or the acceleration isn't coming from ice. And if it's not coming from ice, where is it coming from? Now, let's talk about what you're not being told. NASA went dark on October 1st when the government shutdown began. On October 3rd, 2 days into the blackout, 3I Atlas made its closest approach to Mars, passing within 19 million miles. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, equipped with the HiRISE camera, the most powerful camera we have in deep space, had a perfect line of sight. They took images. We know they took images because ESA's Mars orbiters took blurry long-distance shots and released them on October 7th. But NASA didn't release theirs. Not during the shutdown, not after the shutdown ended on November 12th. For 42 days, while amateur astronomers around the world tracked this object, while Avi Loeb published anomaly after anomaly, NASA said nothing. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, they're hosting a press conference. 4 senior officials, Associate Administrator Amit Kshatriya, Science Mission Director Head Nikki Fox, Acting Astrophysics Director Sean Dogamal-Galden, and Solar Systems Small Bodies Lead Tom Statler. NASA doesn't roll out 4 senior officials for routine comet observations. This is institutional weight. This is controlled messaging. And that's what makes the silence so loud. Here's where Loeb goes from provocative to genuinely unsettling. We have the technology to land on interstellar objects. OSIRIS-REx landed on the asteroid Bennu, collected samples, and returned them to Earth. We could do the same with 3I Atlas. And Loeb's point is this: if we land on it and discover it's a natural comet, an iceberg from another star system, we learn about the building blocks of alien solar systems. That's extraordinary science. But if we land on it and find surface features that shouldn't be there, geometric patterns, material composites, anything that suggests design, then we're faced with a choice. In Loeb's words, the fundamental question after landing on a spacecraft with buttons on its surface would be whether to press any of these buttons. That's not science fiction. That's a Harvard astrophysicist, the former chair of Harvard's astronomy department, saying, "We might find buttons." Tomorrow, NASA shows their hand. Either the HiRISE images confirm this is a comet behaving within known physics, or they show something that fits Loeb's anomaly profile. But here's what bothers me. We shouldn't have had to wait 42 days. The data from October 3rd should have been released immediately to the scientific community. Instead, we got a bureaucratic blackout during the most critical observation window. I'll be watching the press conference live tomorrow and breaking down what they show and, more importantly, what they don't show. Because in science, silence is never neutral. It's either caution or concealment. And after 12 statistical anomalies, I'm not sure which one scares me more. Click on this video to watch what NASA said to the officials, and click on this to watch my other videos related to 3I Atlas.